Live here.
Live!
But we don't have to necessarily know what that means.
What's the someday of Black?
I don't
there's
know
a
that we
reason
want to-
this story happens now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the movie writes itself. Ooh.
I'm still streaming. How do I stop streaming? No! Hello,
Hello.
Mr. Die Hard.
Die hard, die hard, die hard, die hard, die hard.
Die Hard, Die Hard, Die Hard.
Right. That's right, Mr. Jake Powers, the spy who shagged.
This doesn't fit on the page, does it? I've got to choose.
Just the spy who shag.
Move it. The Spy Who Shag. Still works, I suppose. I suppose.
Still works. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yes,
January 23rd, episode 58.
We've got a lot on our plate at the moment, Ben.
We do. I actually named this episode
Exhausted. I saw that. How many projects did we realize we had? We actually made a spreadsheet before lunch, didn't we?
We had to make
projects in various states of development. Writing
trying.
only. Let's not talk about producing. Writing only.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just consider things that are relatively active, there's 12.
12 things.
Additional development.
Yeah.
You could go up to 15, but 12 things that are active right now. You know, the thing is, and I think it's important to talk about just like what that actually means.
Yes.
So there's all different stages in the development process. When people say it's in active development, it could mean a million different things. And that's anywhere from like what you do as a screenwriter before the sale or before setting it up somewhere.
Yeah.
You then, once it ends up at wherever it's going, and all the various stages of active and non-active development.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, I think anytime you have a project that is, even if it's just inching along, that's active development. And that can be you've been waiting a few months on something, or it can be it just landed in your lap yesterday. It can be projects you're putting together pitches for, speccing, shopping, going out to studios, waiting on actress or actor or producer reads.
Yeah.
Can be
just all that stuff.
Really cracking ideas. And you've just come up with something and you've just started to break that down. All of those things are active development.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's one project on there, our TV project, that we're going to be taking out next month or the month after, very soon.
Very soon.
And it doesn't require like daily work. The pitch is ready. We're just trying to attach some other elements, but it requires a kind of a maintaining of energy.
Yeah. And checking in. We've been doing things in terms of we're trying to do some attachment work, and we've been sending emails, and it's
not like you can just go done.
Right, it's still there. It still takes up a piece of your kind of mental storage space.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, I mean, we have stuff on our active development plate dating back, I think. Well, you really want to do that.
You really want to do that?
You could go all the way back 16 years.
You could.
Right?
You could.
Well, I guess not 16. Well, technically speaking, 16, right?
Yeah.
Or you could go back 10
or 12. 10. Yeah.
But really, I mean, realistically, it's about 2 years. The longest we have on like really like active development right now, we've been working on for 2 years. And then we have a couple that are in the year plus mark.
Yeah.
We have a couple, and then we have like 2 things that were like from last Friday. So, although one of them is technically old active development, so it's That's another thing about development is it cycles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the weird part is you could go from having 3 projects on your plate to having 8 projects on your plate in the space of a day. And then the next day that could drop off to 2 projects on your plate.
Right.
And it all depends on where it's at and what's going on with it. All of a sudden, something from the past just goes and is right at the very top.
Completely.
And then something that you thought was going to happen tomorrow, something changes and it gets pushed all the way to the back.
Absolutely right. And it's weird like that. I was telling you earlier, and I tweeted it earlier. Cole Haddon, screenwriter Cole Haddon, he does this great series over on Medium. If you haven't gone to go and check it out, you'll find a link on my Twitter at Jake Thornton, or you can just Google him at Cole Haddon. And he's doing a series of things over on Medium, which I'm not overly familiar with, but he's been talking about his development and sale of his Dracula TV show that had a Jonathan Rhys Meyers in it in 2013. And he was talking about how it felt like he wrote an email in like February, coming up with this idea for this thing, and then nothing happened with it. Too long didn't read. In September, he got a call one day saying, "We've sold your show."
Right?
And it was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm anticipating episode 2 of that, because it sounds like a horror story, not just because it's based on Dracula. But
right.
Anyway, but like some things happen like that. They just go boom, and then
I mean, and you just never know. And obviously, like, I think you should always be adding new things to the list 100%. As frequently as possible. But it's tough to juggle what you're going to work on when. And I think, we talked about this 2 or 3 episodes ago in terms of like trying to your output and what you're capable of doing and how many hours there are in a day.
Totally.
And you can't work on everything every day.
So what did we do this morning? I really like, and we've used this several times, and I really like this, and it requires bringing an honesty about how you feel about a project to it as well, which is enlightening, because people are like, oh, I didn't realize I felt that way about that. But we were grading the 12 projects we have in active development by super high priority, medium priority, and slightly less priority. 1, 2, or 3. And we went through.
And there's different things that go into that, aren't there?
Yeah, there are.
Passion is one thing.
Passion's one of them.
But the reality is, it's rare that you have, or I think that you should have, a project in your active development slate that you have no passion for at all.
No,
I mean, interestingly enough, you might have one that is just a job. You might have that, and everybody needs a paycheck, and no one will. I'm not going to say anything specifically, but we've done paychecks as well.
Totally. And also, there's benefit in it. There's passion about paychecks.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. If it's like, oh, cool, that's my living for that period of time, or that's that thing that I really want to do, or invest, whatever it is, like, it's important to get paid.
And while that is not a paid, like your paycheck job, if it's not literally, if you're not under contract, it's usually on the lower priority scale, unless you're really, really like, I need this money, like right now.
Sure.
But like, if you're in the process of like figuring it out, and maybe you've already, accepted a deal or whatever, that kind of goes to the lower bucket, because you're really talking about, when we're talking about priorities, we're talking about, like, what are you spending your hours on today, or this week, this month, over the next 3 months. And then you kind of have to look at it, don't you, and go, well, there are some things that are going to fall to the bottom because there's just not much you can do. Like, even though they're active, it's the producer has to do their job. Sometimes you're waiting for notes. Sometimes you're like waiting on a contract to be finalized.
Totally.
And that could take months. It could take 3 months. It's still active, but can't be on the top of the priority list.
Absolutely. But as soon as that contract's done,
then it right up to the top. And that's the juggling process.
I know
I've got to jump right out of this world, because as we know as writers, you're literally like your mental and your brain, obviously, but like, I'm like losing the word, but it's like all your mental capacity is focused into like a place, a space, a time, a character. And then all of a sudden a call comes in and you're like, record scratch.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now I have to jump into this world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But what would you say, Jake Powers? What puts something at number one? If you're
yeah, that's a great question.
Ours 1, 2, and 3.
So let's talk about what some of those things are. So
number one.
So again, it's a combination of factors, as you said. Passion is one of them. How passionate am I about writing this particular thing? And that may be, I'm really passionate. I'm somewhat passionate. I'm less passionate, but I'm still passionate. But it's, that is absolutely part of it.
Sure.
And as part of that, the caveat to that is it's always very easy to have the shiny new thing. Oh, that new idea we just had. Oh, I'm really excited about writing that. And I do absolutely have that going on in me at the moment. I've got 2 ideas that we are both excited about that we can't write right now, but we really want to. But that's part of it, passion. Then what are the attachments like that you already have? We already have a producer attached to several of our projects. Some of them are scripts, some of them are ideas, but that they're already like, yeah, we want to do that with you. So that makes something more real. Money, as we were talking about a second ago, is this a paid
under contract? Yeah,
under contract. You got to do it. There's a deadline. Those are the 3 that immediately spring to mind. Anything else you want to add?
I mean, as far as things that go to number one, sometimes you have a ticking clock in terms of your IP.
You may have a shopping agreement. You may
have a shopping agreement on it, and you may only have so much time to do something. Sometimes, as we had with a project, you're reacquiring an old piece of material, and you only have so much time. So ticking clocks definitely push things up to number one, because obviously if that expires, you don't get to do it. And then, sometimes I think it's also, how close are you to the finish line? If I have something that is really close, like all we need to do is go out. I mean, we have, you mentioned our TV pitch that we'll be taking out very soon. That's like, we're there. We just need to take it out. So that's like a top priority. Whatever we have to do. And this is something also, I think, people that may not fully realize about screenwriting is like, just writing it isn't your only part of your job. Like, you have to also collaborate with the producers, with your agents. You have to be the one pushing. There's no one that is going to push harder for your project than you. And so little things like checking in and going, hey guys, did the submissions go out today? Hey, here's directors that we think might be right for this. Can you check on their availability?
Absolutely.
You have to be proactive about that. So even though something like, if you have a TV show or a movie that is literally like, the pitch is ready, the producers are happy, you still have work to do. And that work may be just essentially producing. It's the putting the pieces together to go, okay, are we ready? Are we going out? Has everything managed to fall into place yet? And that can take a while. So
it can.
I think that it's interesting. There's so many different parts of a screenwriting career, it's that you sometimes forget that it's not just about putting words on a page.
Right. And I think that was a real learning curve for us when we first broke in. It was, there's a lot more to this.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's entrepreneurial.
Yeah, it is.
You have a business, and there's a lot more that goes into it other than just making your product.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. But the making of the product is the thing that we love the most.
It is.
This is why we do it.
That's what we're doing on this podcast.
And that's what we're doing on this. And the nice thing about this podcast, this is one of our active projects right now.
This is one of our active projects. Yeah.
You know, and every day we get to spend an hour with our cameras on and work on this.
Absolutely.
And it's good. It's a good piece of development. And
hopefully at the end of it, we'll have a half decent script to take out, show the world.
Hell yeah. A great script. Fuck half decent.
Sure. Great script.
Come on, dude.
Sorry.
All right. Speaking of which, I think we should move on to that.
Let's do that.
It's Monday. Let's get some Monday
juju going.
Get
some of that juju going.
Yeah.
So we are in the middle of our outline. We had just a kind of recap. Perhaps there's new people viewing, whatever. We had gotten fairly far in our outline. We'd gotten up to almost like the midpoint of our outline. We had a break over Christmas. We took some time away from the project. We came back at the start of the year going, are there some problems that we can fix that we're anticipating? Are there some character problems? And I won't say took a step backward, but we kind of took a step backward just to kind of go, let's just reassess some of the things here at the moment. Also, we've done a very slight reimagining of our demon character, our Lilith character, and then a pretty big reimagining of our human protagonist, of Sam, who in the older version, previous version, was a heroin addict. And the journey that she's going to be going on in our movie, battling against this inner demon coming up to the surface to destroy the world, became kind of a bit of a metaphor for addiction. But we've shifted away from that a little bit, and now she is somewhat different. We've also made some cool discoveries as well about who the villains are. They're actually going to be the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They're bringing the fourth horseman, the White Horse, traditionally is the Antichrist. So there were some good things that really came out of it. But we are in the process now of like reintegrating those changes into our outline. And last week we actually completely rewrote what the prologue is going to be. But we are still very much in our outlining process.
Yes, we absolutely are. And there's going to be some big changes coming up. And it can be frustrating. You know, other writers who may be watching us are probably like, God, I can't believe you're sharing this part of the process with the world, because it's part of it, right? It can be frustrating to get halfway through. You're so close to being like, I can write now, or you are writing and you've gotten 30 pages in and then you go, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It could be better.
Yeah. I mean, we're having that on another script at the moment. I was having this feeling, I was like, I'm just feeling on this spec that there's something that's missing. And that's been, and again, to be clear, we outlined that project.
Oh, yeah.
We're working on that. In the writing of it, it's going, there's something missing here. What is that nagging feeling I'm having? And talks about it. We're like, okay, that's something. But again, it's just part of the process. It's you're constantly diving in, working it through.
You know, there's the old saying, writing is rewriting.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think what that really means is it's not just about going in and changing the words. I think it really means that throughout the whole process, until the day of principal photography and even into the editing room, new ideas
completely
coming out
all the time.
More like changes are being made. And sometimes they're organic and great and feel like they make the project better, and sometimes they don't. You know?
Oh, shit.
But, you know, I think that the difficulty can sometimes also be going, what is it that I'm identifying here? Does it make it better? Does it not? Should I go back? Should I make these changes, or should I push forward? And I think you have to trust your gut and your instinct. I feel like I'm at the point where we've done enough of this where I trust my gut. And if I go, you know what, this is actually going to be better, and it's better for us to spend our time going back, fixing it, and then reworking it, versus just continue to push forward and then having a script at the end.
I hear you. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
there you go. Let's open up the outline and dive back in. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here we go. For those of us, or those of you listening and not watching, I'm just going to be sharing our window here for our lovely outline. And there we have it.
There we have it.
We got through our prologue.
Yes.
And then we wrote just a little kind of blurb to remind us of what we were doing and where we're going. And this is it. Lilith does this because over time she's developed human empathy. She can't help but care about what happens to the world, knows that the White Horseman spells the end of what humankind is today. Sauron is an interesting comp to this type of bad guy. Because really, in essence, the White Horseman is the bad guy, and Zod and the other villains are kind of his minion or her minions to a certain degree.
That's an interesting point. Do I 100% agree? I think unless they're really interested in the story, it's interesting. Is Sauron the bad guy, or is he the nuclear weapon that cut off? Is he the stakes? Is he?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Sauron isn't. I mean, he doesn't speak. He's a floating eye. It's more like his.
But everybody seems to be doing his bidding.
Everyone's doing his bidding.
So in that sense, it's kind of like.
It's almost like the Emperor in the first two Star Wars.
It's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. It's exactly what I was going to say. It's like the Emperor in Star Wars, especially in the first one.
Yeah.
Is just a name.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so you're right. Like, is he the true villain? Mm-hmm. No.
By throwing this ring in the eyes of Mount Doom. It says, yeah.
But he is the ultimate kind of thing that we want to defeat.
I hear it. But it's
a bit complicated.
It's almost like saying, that's why I say, like, he's the nuclear bomb that's going to go off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think Zod is the personified villain in this story.
Right.
So anyway, we are then into the next part of the story. You joked last week. You're like, well, you were the one who wanted this originally, and now I've changed my mind. I do think that we should jump to Charlize at this moment.
Okay.
100 years later, Lilith. I apologize. Lilith character who will just always be in my mind, played by Charlize Theron. I think we should get that. Moment. She's still alive. She's hardly aged a day.
Sure.
I think that's the better, more satisfying thing.
Okay.
Now, while we bring those sections in, you can move that around right there. We should have a conversation about what these scenes are as well. Because
I mean, they're going to be different, aren't they?
They are.
This. What is her life here?
Yeah.
I like what we've been talking about in terms of she doesn't actually have a clear boyfriend or kids. Mm-hmm. The idea is that she's been trying, but believes after 100 years that a normal life is not going to be possible for her.
Right.
So she does what she can do, which is run a little bookstore in a little town in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
Right? In a little city, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. What's that? I missed it.
Yes, a small city of 20,000 people. It's just a little.
Exactly. Yeah. So she runs a bookstore and she has some relationships that
people in the town that perhaps she keeps at somewhat of an arm's length, but wants more. we can establish that somehow,
What is the conflict that comes out of this choice, though? I guess other than just, okay, she's living in Boulder, Colorado, what is what does this do for the story? She could have a bookstore anywhere.
Sure.
And if she's not living with a guy or looking after his kid, what is her?
Yeah. The reason that she's in a little bumblefuck nowhere town is because she's trying to a certain degree, lay low. She does not want to be surrounded by many, 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 many people. She doesn't want to be discovered by any demons.
Sure.
So I think that's part of it. I think we must find a way, and again, I don't know how to do it, but expressing her desire and the obstacle to that desire. It's not this. I don't know. I'm coming to this saying I don't know how to do this. But what comes to mind is, again, thinking about Star Wars, Luke Skywalker. When you meet Luke Skywalker, you get the idea that he wants to leave this place and wants something else. He wants to go and join the academy. And the obstacle is his uncle, who's like, just give me one more season. Now in this, her desire is, I wish I could have a real, genuine human life, but I can't because I'm a demon. I don't know how she's going to be able to express that verbally to anyone in her life because reasons.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking when you establish a character's ordinary world, most of the time, it's not just, and this is where they go to work, and this is where they live, and this is the person that they talk to at the diner.
Sure.
You're establishing the thing that they want, the thing that they need, the thing that's wrong in their life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't come into this scene with no knowledge about her, though.
Correct.
We come into this scene knowing this is the fucking horseman of war. This is one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. 100 years later, she's clearly immortal. She's not aged a bit. We've seen this previous moment of the movie where she stops this thing from happening, and then we see her here. I know she's not human. I know she's a demon. I know she's one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. So I come to it with that knowledge. I don't need her to express that. Oh, I wish I could just get out of here. What I'm seeing is we had talked about this in early versions of this. Does the guy who she sees around actually ask her out? Or is it the conversation with the old woman at the diner? Oh, Jerry's been asking about you, or whatever his name is. You know what? You two would be really good together. I don't have. We can see she's making a bullshit excuse.
I think the thing that I was kind of implying this in a previous session where we talked about even the prologue. What I don't get from that, and I don't want it to be expressly said through dialogue. So it's really more about finding what the actions are, or what the reactions to somebody else's situation might be. I don't get what she wants from the prologue.
No, you don't get what she wants.
Right?
Okay.
I might get that she's not what she doesn't want. I get that she doesn't want the fourth horseman to come, but I don't fully understand why. And I don't fully understand now that 100 years has passed. What does she want today? And then what is wrong in her life that makes it impossible for her to get what she wants? Yeah. So, like Sarah Connor, again, referencing Terminator, clearly wants
a boyfriend.
And then what do we see? The guy ditches her. And she goes to a movie by herself. There's a obstacle to what she thinks she wants, even though ultimately, and interestingly enough, she ends up finding a guy who's in love with her. So, I mean,
yeah,
kind of funny. The thing that she wants at the beginning is actually
yes.
kind of what she gets. She even gets a son out of it.
Yeah, completely. Absolutely right. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, is there a way? Again, I'm just trying to think about like how can we visually express her desire without it being like, oh, I wish I had a family, I wish I was human, and blah, blah, you know. It's the guy again, kind of thinking a little bit about Marty McFly in the opening of Back to the Future, where he sees the truck he really wants, and then by the end he gets that. You know, the longing for the thing. Is it? She walks by again, these are all just it's all a bit cliche, but I'm just throwing ideas out there. You know, on her way home, she walks by a playground and she sees the family pushing the kid on the swings. And we see in her face that's something that upsets her. We see a desire, but it's never, oh, I wish I could have that.
Yeah, I mean, I
something like that. This kind of bouncing shit around here.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I would, if you had a beat. So I actually think the bookstore scene is fine for right now.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not 100% on the Boulder, Colorado. Something that you said in just as we were talking about the little small bumblefuck town like Boulder, Colorado is not bad. It is a city.
No, it is a city. Yeah.
But leaving it as such for right now, I like that she goes into the diner. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be the same because there's no terror attack in Portland anymore, is there?
No, there's not. That doesn't happen, so that's gone.
Because that's not part of.
It's not part of the demonic.
So there's obviously no boyfriend, but if she's here and she's talking to, like if there's just a little moment of a guy comes up and makes some brief small talk and is clearly wanting to ask her out, but
here's the thing. Yes, he comes in all the time, and he's, hey, I brought that book I was telling you about. Whatever. It's like he's been.
And then the waitress, who I don't think is like the old waitress, it's like the kind of 30-something.
I don't know if we need the diner scene at all. Let me keep going with this just for a second.
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah. So in the bookstore.
Comes into the bookstore all the time.
He comes to the bookstore. He comes in, knows where she works, moment of something. Could be in the diner as well. I'm just playing bookstore at the moment. Here's that book. Okay, great. Hey, and if you ever wanted to just chat about it, we could go for a coffee or something. She's like, okay, I'll let you know. Other person who works there, her employee, like, he really liked it. And she's like, yeah, that's not for me. Like something in the way that she brushes that. I'm not gonna have that. Then perhaps cut the diner scene. I'm not sure we need it. Walking home after work, walks by a playground, sees family with kids, and has something in her that pushes that aside as well. And is there a way to just do it subtly? I would hope that the audience would get that. But I don't know.
I mean, I think we certainly can try it. I would hope that. Here's what I don't think it would be obvious. I don't think that it would be obvious that she would want, just because she sees a family and has a longing, a bad longing after the look.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I immediately go, oh, that's what she wants, a family. But I think that the ideas of, I think it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think it is too.
And also, I think her wanting a family is kind of great because it's what she ultimately gets in the end.
Totally.
And have and a family being one of the most human things that we as humans do is
Mhm.
feel love and
Yeah.
connection to other human beings. I think seeing her alone in her apartment
Yeah.
and seeing that type of loneliness,
Yep.
will
Absolutely.
add to that
I
as
agree. Yep.
well.
Yep. For sure.
So yeah, I mean, maybe we get rid of the diner and
We
you
just
know
do.
we just go to the. I do think there'd be a little bit more conversation between her cashier, who's
Yes.
probably like a teenager,
Totally could
or
be.
like, or early 20s.
Sure. Absolutely.
Um,
So just
you know,
read this out now before we have. So we're then going to jump to exterior Boulder, Colorado, day establishing. Again, maybe it's not Boulder, maybe it's somewhere smaller. Description of the town. A rare bookstore is on a street, whether it's a tourist street or not, just a street. We go into the bookstore, old tomes and antique books from all over the world. This is what she specializes in. Walking through the stacks is Lilith. She hasn't aged a day. Customer comes in. Let's have this be the guy. And,
or maybe does he sell books to her? Is that his like excuse?
That's interesting, potentially.
Because he come in with a bunch of things, and he's
What is
like,
this bookstore?
it's an antique bookstore.
Antique bookstore. So he's got antique books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
I have antique books.
Totally great. Yeah. I'm just yeah.
Especially if like
he's in an estate sale, thought you'd be interested, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, he probably if what he's doing is wanting to find excuses to see her,
totally,
because he hasn't gotten up the courage to ask her on a date yet.
Absolutely, that's exactly it. It's
bringing in books.
He's trying to generate a relationship,
right? Over with that, yeah, totally. And he's probably a nice guy.
He's a totally nice guy.
It's like he knows that she's into this, and you know, like it's a way for him to start up conversation.
Right, absolutely right. Yeah, cool, great, awesome.
Sure. It's a nice guy.
Nice guy, Larry.
In his 30s.
Yes.
Sure. He's got a couple of antique books with him.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith puts on a smile. Mm-hmm. It's clear the guy has a crush.
Yeah, he's
on her.
Right.
And we learn through their combo that he's been coming a lot lately.
Yes.
Lately with new books to sell.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Clearly a way to keep talking to her.
Yes.
We should have, the 20-something cashier grins and chuckles as she makes a face.
She knows exactly what's going on.
Giving them space. The guy asks her out, finally getting the courage.
Does he actually ask her out, or is it like in a way that would be like, hey, if you want to, I mean, maybe that is asking out, isn't it?
That
maybe
is asking her out.
Yeah, sure.
Finally getting the courage to do so. And I think she doesn't fully say yes. I don't think she fully says no, because I actually think she likes him. But I think she could say, I'm really busy, but maybe.
Yeah, sure. There's a way to just construct it. It's not like I'm not going to completely shoot you down and make you give up.
Yeah, she likes him, but doesn't.
But something's stopping her.
Something is stopping her. And she only agrees to maybe. It's actually, there's a cute moment or something where he's like, okay, I'll take a maybe.
Yeah. Yes.
He leaves. And then what is with the font?
It's so weird. I don't know why it keeps changing.
What is with the font on this?
Really, really weird. It slips between Courier New and Courier Final Draft, and I don't know why.
It switches every other paragraph.
It's so weird. Why's that happening?
Okay, so he leaves, and the cashier comes to Lilith. Comes over to Lilith. What the heck?
Doing? Like, when are you guys gonna?
And she's like, this cashier is totally. I think she should be like totally like Colorado hip, and she should just be like, like, what's up? Like, what? Like, go out with him. He's cute.
Absolutely, for sure. Yep.
To Lilith, why aren't you going after that sexy ass? And Lilith tells her she's too busy for relationships.
Yes.
Obvious lie.
Yep.
Obvious lie. I think the girl calls her out on it.
Great.
And she's like, problem is, you know what? I'm going to lunch.
Right. Great.
The girl calls her out.
Great.
She's too hot. She's too hot to be living alone, or something like that.
Yeah. One of the, I'm just recalling, and I think we mentioned this in way in an early podcast, and I still really like the advice. Got it from Wolfgang Peterson, which said, if a scene in your movie doesn't forward either the plot or the character in some way, it doesn't belong in the movie. And what I like about this is this is all about character.
So
this is all about character.
I'm learning about who Lilith is today.
Who Lilith is
after 100 years living on Earth.
Absolutely right. And I get the status quo. I get the state of the world.
Yeah. Shrugs it off. Tells her she's leaving for the day, because we can go, close up.
Yeah.
When she's finished with the, register.
Right.
Okay. Great. Now, playground. Girl runs with other kids. It's weird for her to be on a bench, but Lilith walks by.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think there's a mom and
mom and a daughter. A family unit, a full family unit. Yeah.
And other sibling.
Yeah.
Play. Play something cliche. We'll fly a kite together.
Yeah.
But basically, Lilith watches for a beat too long, catches herself, keeps walking. Something like that.
Sure.
Now she's walking by the place. This is just a logic thing, and please, by all means, tell me emotion over logic. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Something that we are always asking ourselves: is it emotion or logic? What's more important in that moment? But is her apartment in walking distance from the shop, or?
No, but on Tuesdays in this town, it's street cleaning day, and she can't park her car immediately outside the store, so she has to park it in the playground parking lot.
It doesn't matter. Interior apartments.
That's the reason. If anyone's asking, and here's what we could do. We could see the sign as she walked past.
Where's her car?
Hang on a minute. Why didn't she park just right outside the store? Well, guys, it's clearly on screen. Tuesday street cleaning day. She couldn't park here. How do we know? The guy comes in. Happy Tuesday.
For herself. Bottle of wine.
Here she could,
charred to Chris.
Totally. And there's a really funny scene as part of this, not fun, but where she's cooking it, and we think, oh no, she's burning the steak, and she's just like, that's just how she likes it. You say like,
is she like watching a horror movie on TV? Like, is there something fun about like her, like what she actually likes for entertainment? Like in the same way that she's eating a charred steak. Is there something?
She's watching Hellraiser.
I don't know. Like, what is she doing? I think her apartment is stark.
Yes, it is.
You know,
it's a good. What does someone who's been alive for centuries, who's lived as a human for the last 100 years, do in their spare time? I kind of feel like she's a reader as well.
Well, she's got a bookstore. So so does she not even have a TV? Does she curl up in a big armchair,
like that,
eat her steak, and open up an old book?
Yeah, I kind of quite like that.
Sure. I think we would see her at the table just eating her steak all by herself.
Yeah.
And then she'd be in an armchair reading, and then it'd be essentially we'd cut away.
Yeah.
To Portland, really.
But
what is the conflict in this scene? There should be here's how we get in even more it's almost as if this is for some reason being thrown in her face right now. Do you know how like when you want something but you can't have it, but then everywhere you look is the thing that you want, and it's just
become really aware of it, don't you?
Off, and it's like all you can see is that thing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it the kind of thing where, like, it's probably too obvious. So
what is it?
But it's like, is it like the book that she goes to pick up or the magazine or whatever is like about a family?
Sure. Or,
she's just like, I'm not in the mood. She puts it down, and that's why she goes and takes a bath, or like on the TV is some sitcom about a family.
Yeah, or it's 20 questions to find your ultimate man. It's just like, fuck off. Maybe.
I mean, we're trying to have fun in this movie too, right?
It's true. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
There's got to be some moments of.
Here's what we do. Whenever it's too dark, we just underscore the Benny Hill music underneath the scene, whether it's appropriate or not. No, nothing. Okay, fine.
Anyway,
yeah. Do we still need and want the bath scene?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. We still have to figure out exactly what that moment is. We talked about it a little bit. The husband having the kids and driving away, and her going inside and doing something that causes that moment to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
like the image that we had, which is when she gets in the bath, it boils. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I like it. There's no mirrors.
Yes.
Does she have?
If you're paying attention, you'll notice there's no mirrors.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a line, I always really liked it. It's in the Ocean's 11 screenplay, which said, you'll notice, or maybe you won't. He has a wedding ring on. Right. I just really like the wording of that. Like, you'll notice, or maybe you won't, but it's just there. Right. Coming out in the script. Maybe the audience won't notice, and that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so, she eats alone.
Yeah.
She, sits in an armchair.
Yeah.
Opens a book.
Yeah. Or something makes her go, I'm being presented with the thing that I want that I don't have, that I'm not sure I can have, but yeah.
Something here continues to present to her the thing she wants most.
Yeah.
A human life with a family.
Yeah.
But she knows she can never have it. You know what's interesting? And this is just something that, like, I actually know this would hit a lot of people in a very kind of human, relatable way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, like, just as we're unpacking this, about like, yeah, she's a demon, but the reality is, let's say she wasn't a demon. What she is a woman who can't have kids. What she is a woman who feels broken, who's damaged, who had a shitty childhood, who doesn't
Yeah.
do well with relationships, and who had to
Right.
have a hysterectomy because of,
Yeah.
various medical reasons.
Absolutely.
And so there is a realness to the fact that, like, she's when she sees Sam, who's been
Yeah.
abusing the privilege that
Yeah.
she has in her life.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd kill for what you
Yeah,
have,
absolutely right. For sure. Yeah.
Like, I was never having kids was never in the cards for me. I'm a fucking demon.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, do you think I could really have a husband when he watches me turn into a monster in the mirror?
Absolutely.
You think that's gonna fly?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, totally. Like, I get all of these things without them being stated in this scene. It's interesting,
right, right.
over this sequence. Let's say
Over this sequence, it's like, I wish I could be that person, but I'm not. That's not who I am.
Yes. Okay, so then let's just go into the order of things we have at the moment, just in terms of what we're going to be witnessing and seeing in terms of Sam. Do we have? Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself in my mind. The question I'm asking is this: when is the energy eruption released from Sam? Because that's going to influence, I think, other things that happen and other things that happen at certain points. And it comes back to the question of is Lilith going to go and have go into a scalding hot bath tonight and have that blackout thing happen tonight, or is that all making it happen too soon? Because really, in many respects, that is the inciting incident.
I don't think it has to be tonight.
I agree.
I would skip to another day. I would go daytime in Portland.
Yeah.
And I would see Sam at work.
Okay.
Or leaving in the morning, maybe.
That's fine. Yes.
Gives her husband a kiss, drives the kids to school, goes to work, and then, does a line of coke. Or
do we then want do we still want Lilith to have the realization, the experience of the Antichrist arriving in the bath?
Yeah, I still like that.
Okay.
I like the way that's drawn out, that scene. Her falling, blacking out, waking up on the floor. I think that's all cool.
Right.
We just cut it to that night, and we had talked actually about it. Works fine because we talked about the moment being that she was out getting drunk.
Yes.
She comes home. The kids are packed up and they're leaving in the car, and the husband says, "Get the fuck sober." And she goes in and does something that ultimately, like, whether it's like a cry, like a bellow, and just like an energy just like fucking comes out of her or something like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
But yeah, I think we now have the space here to go through a day in the life of Sam, the Antichrist.
Sure. And we won't know, the audience won't really know why we're with this character at this time.
Right. But there is conflict nonetheless. There's going to be conflict at work, conflict with her husband, conflict with when she goes to, I still like the bar scene.
Yeah, cool. Great.
There's still stuff.
There's still stuff. Sounds good.
Yeah. So now, obviously, all this is none of this.
All this is gone. We should really just delete this because it's not there.
Counselor's office. The question is, I do think she's probably not with a counselor, but she might be seeing a therapist.
Could be,
especially if her husband said, "You're doing this, or we're getting a divorce," type of a thing.
Okay, that's interesting. She's going
and she probably suffers from depression and all kinds of stuff. I think we need to dig a little bit deeper though into why. I don't quite know, and we haven't really sketched out the past that Sam had that has led her to being so fucking awful.
Right.
You know, what is it about her life? I mean, without it being too cliche, but what is it that's made her so fatalistic? That's made her so angry and ungrateful and not being able to see all the good things that she has in front of her.
Yeah, I mean,
clearly
again, how much of it comes out in the movie, but I kind of feel like so much of people's behavior and trauma that they have in their life is just really caused by what they experience in their childhoods.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And also, what I like about the therapist or counselor or whatever is that
to ask that question.
What is that? It's easy to get that question.
It is. It really is.
But also, what you're setting up here, interestingly enough, is that Sam's problem. Sam's problem is that she's
self-destructive.
She's self-destructive, and she doesn't believe that she's worth the things that are in her life, which is why she self-sabotages. And I think that a therapist could call her out on that.
That's really interesting.
And be like, you know what your problem is? Therapist wouldn't talk that way. But, and I've seen enough of them to know.
What your problem is? Well,
no, but it would be like a good scene whereby it could come out to be like, do you think that has something to do with your dad leaving?
Yeah, sure, totally.
Something like that, whatever that might be.
Absolutely.
Like this idea that
I'm open to that. I think it's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea. For example, someone who was abandoned in some way, would potentially feel that they weren't worthy of certain things.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is the point in when if you really wanted to get like research heavy, you could start looking into,
of course,
why people become and create self-destructive behavior.
For sure. For sure.
But the point is that that's what she suffers from.
Absolutely.
Depression, anger issues, alcoholism, self-destructiveness, lack of self-worth, self-worth.
It's easy for you to say.
Self-worth. It's a tongue twister. Say that 10 times over. Come on, Jake. Come on, do it.
Self-worth.
I think that I mean, do we go straight into a therapist's office?
Maybe we do.
Not a bad cut.
Maybe we do. Don't hate it.
So I don't think it's quote appointed. I don't think that's what.
No, I don't think it is either. I think it's more like her husband said. This is what.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it couples counseling? Is it couples therapy?
That's interesting. Yeah.
And we can really see that her marriage is on the rocks as well.
That's interesting. And we can see, and learn multiple affairs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we would need to get everything out in this scene, but we can learn her behavior through her actions later.
Yeah.
We get that she has self-destructive behavior, depression, anger issues, and is an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Alcoholic. I don't know. I can't spell right now. So basically, like, the husband is on his on his last legs. He can't.
He's on his last legs.
Not last legs.
He's 89 years old.
His last
straw.
Straw.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, he can't do another.
Yeah.
You know, time down the. You know, time down this rabbit hole. You know, and maybe the therapist is like, look, here's what you need to do. We're not giving up on this yet.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out. You guys need to go on a date. You know, something along those lines. You know, the therapist convinces him to give her another week. You know, because they're going to come back to at least until the next session. You know.
This is good. This was a good session today. Very good.
Yeah.
About this.
Right.
Awesome. All right, we'll be going on tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. We had a whole bunch of people watching us live, which was cool.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Oh, we got some.
We can't take story suggestions.
Yeah.
Just because we just don't really know the legal ramifications of it. So ask questions and stuff like that, but we can't take any of those. But thank you so much for watching and participating. Jacob, I think are we chatting with Jacob today?
You know what? We didn't. We will have to figure that out. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much, everyone. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. All right.
Bye.